Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Saints Squad Show. I'm your host, Dylan Sanders. And man, at least I don't have to talk about the Pelicans for a couple of hours.
I'm Raj Jackson, host of Locked On Saints podcast, and Tyler Shough has to show me just one thing, and I'll be fully bought in for 2026.
John Hendricks, New Orleans football, and I am McLovin.
This is former Saints wide receiver Lance Moore, and after our pre-show conversation, I'm now trying to figure out what's more exciting, Game of Thrones or Lane Kiffin's DMs.
It's the Saints Squad. Everything New Orleans Saints, every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from down in the Big Easy, the way only Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Saints Squad Show, starting now.
Lane Kiffin's DMs.
They calling me. They calling me.
Howdy, good evening. Welcome back to the Saints Squad Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And Ross, what are we, the number one?
Number one sports podcast network.
Of course we are. Thanks for making us your first listen every Sunday and Wednesday. We have a unique group of experts here ready to bring you a fun and informative show on everything New Orleans Saints. That's right. A show about the Saints in 2025 can be fun. Today,
right,
we're going to be talking about, of course, there's a game this weekend. We're going to get into our game picks and bold predictions. We're going to talk about which position groups can save themselves from an overhaul this offseason. Talking about being fun, we're going to have our favorite feel-good stories, like players making a rise, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to start off today's episode with improvements that Tyler Shough must make over the last couple of weeks of the season, because that, I think, is the most important thing around this New Orleans Saints team. Is Tyler Shough the guy? Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right. Let's get into this. I want to talk about one thing that you want to see Tyler Shough improving the most this season. And let's start off with Lance.
Okay. Wasn't sure you were going to start off with me, but here we are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think the first thing that I thought of when I saw that this was going to be the first topic that we discussed was consistency. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see him. I want to see. Now, that doesn't mean he can't have any bad plays. That doesn't mean he can't have a bad series. That doesn't mean even he doesn't have a bad game, maybe. But I want to see more of the good stuff regularly. The command of the offense, the playmaking with his arm, the playmaking with his legs, taking less sacks, and starting to look like he's able to elevate the play of those around him, have command of the offense, play with confidence. Those are the things that I'm looking forward to the most to see from him. And while the expectation level for this team overall is not great, I think he's got a little something extra to play for because we are looking ahead to 2026. And I'm sure the organization is doing that as well. As these games get less and less as the season goes along, they're starting to figure out where they're going to be drafting in 2026. So the question always is going to arise, if we are a top 2 or 3 pick, are we going to take a quarterback? And I think Tyler Shough could potentially shut down those conversations if he's consistently good over these last 5 games. And consistently good to me doesn't mean win all 5 of these games. Consistently good means what I just described as far as commanding the offense, playing with confidence, taking care of the football, and then starting to elevate the play of those around him. I don't think it would be great for this team to look at another quarterback in 2026 if Tyler Shough shows the improvement as well as showing that he can be consistently good for this team.
Best case scenario is that he's consistent and they lose the games, right? Like that's like kind of the best situation for them almost, because then you get the other most important part of the rest of the season, which is the draft position.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that is a win-win for this organization. Like, okay, we have a quarterback that we can go at least start 2026 with.
Yeah.
We've got a capable backup, a guy that's got starts in his career as well. So we don't have to necessarily go and take a big swing. We don't necessarily have to sign a veteran guy, even though they should probably look to do so. But I think it is a win-win. I mean, you have a quarterback that's playing well enough to hand him the keys for early 2026 while continuing to maintain at least your draft position for the draft next year.
The way this draft is shaking out, I think I've come down to the fact that, there are a lot of ways the last couple of weeks can unwind. As long as they're in that top 5, I'm really happy with the amount of talent they can add to this team. There are a ton of really good, valuable players all over the field within that top 5. So there's no really bad way for the board to fall, in my opinion, for that to happen.
And we know that it's going to get even better because we think it could potentially get even better because if teams like the Titans and the Giants who don't have quarterback questions are sitting at 1 and 2, you're going to watch teams potentially try to jump up for quarterbacks. And so that might knock even more of those talented players down if those teams look to sell those picks.
Yeah. Ross, what is one thing you want to see improve from Tyler Shough this season?
Make it happen in structure. That's it. Not always, right? You got to be able to make those plays out of structure, and he does that extremely well. I think it's part of why the ceiling is there for him because he has a little bit of that sort of playground football piece to his game. But I would like to see a little bit more of him finding success in structure. The big touchdown down the right sideline to Chris Olave in Carolina was an example of that. He had that one that went across the field as Olave was crossing into the open zone where he just kind of put a nice little touch pass over on the left side in that same game. That was a good example of that. The 15-yard kind of just bullet that he threw to Devon Vele over the middle of the field in that same game, that was in structure. I just want to see more of those plays and less of him having to run around and move. Now, sometimes that's just as much about the offensive line as it is about him. There's a difference between him feeling pressure that's not there and pressure very much being there, but you can see the difference between the two things, right? And so I would like to see a little bit more of him being able to execute this system in structure. And I wonder how much, now that he's got this kind of good connection with Devon Vele that's been growing over the course of the past couple of weeks, if maybe he's understanding a little bit more about NFL Open being different than college Open. And so maybe some of those things will start to come just naturally with the exposure, naturally with the reps, and naturally with the experience. But that's just kind of one little specific thing that I'm watching to see whether or not he can get more comfortable operating inside of the sort of form of a play as opposed to sort of the second action that comes after.
Yeah, so what you're talking about is rhythm and timing, right? Yeah. Like you set yourself up for failure if you're trying to live in that playmaking mode from an offensive standpoint. A majority of the plays that you run need to be run with that rhythm and timing. You can't I'm just going to go out on a limb and say this. Tyler Shough is not Lamar Jackson. And even Lamar Jackson, most of his success happens in rhythm and timing. It's just that when stuff breaks down, he's so dynamic. We talk more about the off-schedule plays that he's able to make with his legs, extending plays, and then making throws downfield or just taking off and running. We talk more about those. But if you look at the numbers, he is really, really successful from rhythm and timing standpoint, making throws and plays from the pocket. That's what you're talking about here. And I totally agree with you that he's got to show that he can do that consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, tied them all together.
Yeah.
Ooh. John, what do you want to see improve?
I'm with Lance and saying consistency is probably the top thing for me, but I'm going to just go with the recency bias and say ball security. I think that's a big one for me. Obviously, you look at based off of the Miami game, right? Like, the pressure and look, we talked about this post game. Lance brought up, we shouldn't have a receiver on a blocking somebody, right? Like that's not a thing. But still, you got to feel the pressure some, right? You got to be a little bit better on that aspect and not lose the ball there. I mean, that backside pressure, sometimes that's just how it happens. And then that pick that he threw, I mean, that was just not a pretty good look. And then the 2-point play, when you look at how much that broke down and the fact that communication broke down on there before the play and all this other stuff, it's just not a good winning formula. And of course, I'm not saying Tyler Shough can't turn the ball over. I just would like for it to be limited mistakes. That's the biggest thing, is you don't want to have this where you're marching down the field like they were against Miami, and then you throw that pick. That's just a bad look. I mean, that's a bad pick to throw, right? Any turnover is a bad timing, all this other stuff. But for the Saints team, for him to build off of his rhythm, tempo, his consistency and all that, you can't have those types of drives just fizzle out, right? You know what I mean? And so I just feel like that goes hand in hand with everything you guys are saying. And maybe I'm being too picky on saying that I don't want to see the turnovers, and I feel like that at some point you gotta not shoot yourself in the foot. And the Saints are a great team that shoots themselves in the foot, and nobody shoots himself in the foot better than the Saints. And so Shuck's got a lot of hand in that, and the blame's gonna always go on him, right? Like you're not gonna go look at the receiver who didn't run the route. We even talked about that even earlier in the season about the one that was to Mason Tipton, and it's like, well, the ball wasn't there, and the route, and if it was a couple of different things, communication. There's so many different factors of why a turnover happens in some of those aspects. But for Shuck, I feel like he'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, to your point about the turnover thing, and I don't think you are nitpicking about that or being too picky about that. I mean, Tyler Shough had his opportunity to be a starter because of the rash of turnovers from another quarterback that was otherwise performing well, right? So I don't think that that's a nitpicky thing. I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, the last thing you want to see your quarterback doing is turning over the football, period. Right. And so anytime that you can mitigate that, I think you would like to see that. Yeah.
I think where I land is I'm glad that I am going after John, actually, because, being safe and all of that is very important. But I also want to see them take more risks. And part of this is not all on Tyler Shough. It is on Kellen Moore as well. But right now, Tyler Shough has, I think, of quarterbacks with at least 150 pass attempts, he has the 21st big time throw rate. There's like tight windows, deep passes. He has the, I think, 13th average depth of target in that group. I just feel like if you want to know what you have in Tyler Shough, playing it safe is not the way to do it, because playing it safe might be what you feel like you have to do to win games, or like really be in it to avoid him making those mistakes. But what's the point in winning a game right now? There is literally none. You can't get into the playoffs. So you might as well see, if you want to win games in the future, you're going to need him to use his arm. You have Chris Olave, you have Devon Vele, you have Mason Tipton. Trey Palmer might exist. Period.
Next year.
You have these. You got rid of Shaheed, but you have Juwan. I just feel like I want to see him take more shots, and obviously, I think as he builds chemistry with these players, like I've obviously seen a jump in chemistry with him and Devon Vele. You've seen it with him and Chris Olave. So the more you see it, I think the more it's going to happen. But over the last 5 weeks, if you hype this guy up as someone with a big arm, show it. Show Saints fans why they should be excited about having Tyler Shough be their quarterback. Because anybody, I say anybody, but you know what I mean. Anybody can play it safe. Not everybody can make the big throws that Tyler Shough, I think, is capable of making.
So to your point, and Lance, I'm sorry, I'm going to use this comparison, but you want him to be like a 2012 Breeze, and he's just balling out. But
then they're going to lose the
game,
right? Shough be like 2012 Breeze.
Yeah, him being 2012 Breeze would be fantastic.
Yes. But then the defense just lets everything go. No, I'm sorry.
Right.
There's a lot wrong that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think what Dylan is saying is let Shuck cook.
Let Shuck cook.
Let Shuck cook.
And I agree. I mean, not only is it about allowing the fans to see something to be excited about, it's let the organization see that the choice that they made in last year's draft, or should I say this year's draft, was the right choice. You're sure, you're allowing him to get some repetition and some experience here early, but at what point do you take the training wheels off and really let him do what he does best? I mean, I think that is an amazing point, really. I mean, sure, we'd love to see him control an offense and play consistently good and protect the football, but we also need to see the reason why we drafted him. We didn't draft him to be a guy that's going to have to play his entire career with training wheels. We drafted him because the organization believed that he's a guy with a strong arm and's got the athletic ability. So let's see all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're Tyler Shough away from almost having like a clean sweep in this draft. And of course, Broughton got hurt early on. Montevideo, Diggs, those are late picks, but the core picks that they've had this year, if they can get this Shuck pick right, maybe there's hope for the future. Who knows?
Yeah, what a class.
Maybe.
Maybe, I guess. And maybe we're going to make you feel good in the next segment as we talk about our favorite feel-good stories, players, I'll just say it, like Charlie Smith, that you can, feel happy about as Saints fans. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. I'm out there looking for gifts. I'm out there ready. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, because can we take a minute? The only reason you give a gift is to see the reaction of the person that gets it. I'm joking. But Aura frames, and no, I'm not talking about my sweet, sweet tortoiseshell glasses, is the gift that delivers every time. It's not something you wrap. It's a way to share memories because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. Grandparents, parents, newlyweds, anyone who loves photos. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter. Use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's AWRAFrames.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Number one sports podcast, never great the nation. Sorry, I just had to
that W and U are totally different letters,
Very different.
Hey,
a single U. RA frames.
A single U. Sorry, I've just been taking so many W's lately. I just
complete opposite of Louisiana sports right now. Very nice.
Perfect.
Sorry to Aura Frames who says read verbatim. I messed up.
Joke's on them.
All right.
Yeah.
I messed up. Here, have 30 seconds of extra ad. There you go. All right. Now, let's move on. Let's talk about our favorite feel-good stories for the Saints this season. And let's start off with John.
All right. I am going to have to go with my guy. I'm going to go with Isaiah Stallbird.
Yeah.
Because from day one, undrafted rookie, he was one of those guys that I just gravitated to. I loved watching the film on him in college. South Dakota State University, Jackrabbits, by the way. Just a small school guy. He was a guy that just I gravitated towards his linebacker, safety skills, hybrid. Ross and I talked about him a lot. I compared him a lot to Sua Cravens in the way that Saints could be creative, but he bided his time on the practice squad, but he was just so smart. And he was always one of those guys that, and just talking with, I mean, great story. Never forget, like his first interview, his little boy came in on the Zoom interview. You remember this, Ross, when his little boy came in? It was like one of the most wholesome moments. It's like, this is a dude you can root for and get behind. And obviously I'm a family man, so I can get behind him, but just working through everything, right? Like, it is not easy to make an NFL roster. It is not an easy thing to do if you're an undrafted rookie, unless your name's Lance Moore. I mean, he can do it too. Or Pierre Thomas, or some of these many great Saints undrafted rookies. But yeah, I mean, but still, he cut his teeth. He didn't initially make it, but he got some reps. They wanted to put him in the safety room. He learned the safety room some after the linebackers. He went back to the linebacker room, but he worked his tail off to earn a roster spot. But not only that, as a core special teamer, he's so smart and he does so well that he gets defensive snaps now. And he got his first sack against Kirk Cousins, which was awesome. He almost did the same thing last week against Tua, you know what I mean? But just a guy that you can root for. His family's fantastic. And, you know, I think that's just one of the joys is Ross and I, and do get to know players of just the other side of the coin that's not football, right? And that's where you can get behind a lot of these guys. So Stallbird's my pick. He's my guy. I love what I've seen from him. I think he's somebody that, man, you just look at the hard work that he's put in to be able to get to this point, and it's just crazy. If you don't feel good about that story, then something's wrong with you. You're Grinch.
Then you don't like NBA basketball. That's what I always think.
Yeah. Grinch Sanders up there.
I hate that story. It makes me mad.
Dylan Grinch Sanders.
No, Isaiah Stallbird's obviously one of the first ones that came to mind for me as well. Just awesome. It's someone that I definitely, every time he touches the field, and then I get excited that whenever he leaves, I'm like, you gonna give him another snap? Like, I just want to see more. I want to see more of them. They have two solid NFL. They have one elite linebacker, so it's like, that those snaps are taken off like already, like they're locked up. But I was just like, man, part of me just wants to see the young guys shine because they are very, very exciting players. I think both of them, him and Danny Stutzman. All right.
And Jalen Ford too. I think he's doing his thing, making some.
He's had some really nice special teams plays.
Special teams matters.
Well, special teams matters.
Ross,
me?
I know you're going to talk about.
Bruce.
Well, who do you think? Who do you think? Do it
himself.
I was thinking Charlie because that's all you
talk
about.
Good job.
I wanted you to win.
I wanted you to win. This wasn't me insulting you. I was giving you an opportunity to win, and you won. You did awesome.
I needed that W. I don't have a lot of them lately.
Yeah. I don't know why you were lying about that earlier. No, dude. It's definitely Charlie Smith for me. I mean, much the same as very similar to what John was talking about with Isaiah Stallbird. Like when you watch these guys, same undrafted class, like same year coming in, you watch these guys work their tails off and everything, and then finally get opportunities, and then they make good on those opportunities. Like, it's hard not to feel good about that. And knowing that Charlie Smith's, like, we think about the 56-yard field goal, which was the third longest debut field goal by any player in NFL history. I'm certain he's the only kicker to ever convert an onside kick in his first start. I haven't been able to confirm that yet, but I feel pretty confident in that. And then you add on top of that, like, to get there, it started with an email to the NFL, like just literally shooting a shot at one point, and then doing all of the great, all the great work that he was doing, working with other, international kickers, and coming into the international pathway program, and just keeping his head down and continue to go. Like, this dude was still being sent to kicking camps in like week 7 of this season and everything out in Dallas to keep working and keep refining and keep developing. And so for him to turn all of that into making good on an opportunity, kicking, not just in his first game, but in his first game outdoors and in the rain, which I'm sure he's very used to, coming from Mayo Bridge and being in Northern Ireland and everything, that kicking in the rain is probably not a huge thing for him, or playing in the elements is not a huge thing for him. But like everything from going from like soccer to Gaelic football to American football to this moment, like what a cool story. And all of the people around him, I mean, his family, he told his family Friday night before that Sunday game that he was going to be the kicker. They bought tickets to get from Ireland to Miami in time for that game. They got in Sunday morning at 1 a.m. and then were there at the game, and then they got to see that. It's just, you don't get those kinds of really cool, everything comes together perfectly kinds of moments in the league often, or really in life often. And this was just one of those things that's like, yeah, I'm going to tell that story probably. Like, that's one of those stories that when people ask me, like, what was one of your favorite stories you ever got to cover? 10, 15 years from now, that story's still going to be on the near the top of the list. And so for me, like, that's an easy pick is Charlie Smith. And what a just nice dude to have all of this going this way for him as well. Like he's an easy dude to root for.
Shout out to Tag Leader. And I'll share this real quick too. So I texted, because this is a guy Darren Rizzi found. So I texted Riz after that. Dude was so psyched. He's like, my guy, and he did the flexing and stuff. So obviously that's cool to see Riz still rooting for his guys, even though he's in Denver. Yeah. And obviously this was way before he was playing Washington. But yeah, that was a cool moment for Charlie Smith. And another guy that just you get to know in the locker room, and just, I mean, you just can't say enough good things about most of these guys you get to know in the locker room. They're just genuine, wholesome, and you love to interact with them, and it's usually never about football. It's just about life and all these other things. So,
yeah,
I've never met one I liked. I don't like any of them.
Well, look, I think it's
Sounds
another
like Lane
reminder. I think it's another reminder that, everybody has their own personal story, right?
Yep.
Like, it's so often NFL players are just looked at as entertainers, and the human component of it gets left out of it. And, it also, reminds us that most of the time the league doesn't care where you come from. It matters more what you do when you get there. It doesn't matter if you're an undrafted free agent. Doesn't matter if you're a 1st to 7th round pick. It doesn't matter if you're a guy that was sending emails to the NFL. He wasn't the first, and I'm sure he won't be the last that gets an opportunity because he took the initiative. But it's awesome to see that somebody believed in themselves first, did the legwork, and then finally gets an opportunity. I mean,
Literally.
I don't know that it gets more legwork. I don't know that it gets more feel good than that type of a story. And it's just awesome. And there's a lot of awesome stories that I don't think get highlighted nearly enough, because it's always about the daily grind, the X's and O's, the wins and losses. But I think it would be well worth people's time if somebody were to develop a show where guys got to just break down and talk about their story. I mean, that would humanize them a little bit more. And maybe when situations happen with teams and decisions need to be made, then people can kind of understand where people are coming from a little bit better. But, I'm just
one of my favorite ones I did that with DeMario. And for those who don't know DeMario's history, he was arrested and he was in Arkansas State. I mean, he had a dark path that was kind of going down, but a lot of things changed in his life, and you just never know, and knowing who DeMario is today. But like, man, it's just some of those players. I did that with Luke McCown. I did that with a couple, John Kitna, a few different of those guys. And it's amazing how different backgrounds just come together like that. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what you were saying, Lance, but I do want to use this as an opportunity to shout out to the Players Only Squad show that Locked On does. Pretty awesome work. It's pretty cool. Just it's fun to see that.
Yeah, lots of cool stories go on in that show too. That's been a really cool listen.
Yeah.
All right. Lance, do you have a favorite story, favorite feel-good story?
Yeah, my favorite feel-good story is the 2025 draft class.
Yeah,
I mean, how can we talk about feel-good and not mention that group that not only has been playing, but has been productive in most of their playing time? And for an organization that hasn't necessarily hit on overall draft classes in almost a decade, and then more than a decade before that, I think that's pretty feel good. You're starting left tackle in Kelvin Banks Jr. from day one, Devin Neal, Danny Stutzman, Jonas Sanker, Quincy Riley. I mean, all these guys aren't just out there on the field on Sundays dressing in a uniform. Those guys are contributors, major contributors, and a lot of them starting. I think it is a good sign for this organization that they got this class right, and hopefully a sign that they will continue to do so to start building something in a rebuild that will, continue to bear fruit, because it's going to be necessary to continue to improve, to hit on these draft selections. And hopefully some of the guys that aren't getting as much playing time, we could see here, toward the end of the season when more guys could potentially be getting some opportunities. That will be great as well. I mean, I think that's a part of the evaluation process for, teams as they move forward. You want to see your guys out there in real game action. And, I don't want to take up the rest of the time, which we're close in this segment anyway. But I just think that, we've talked about the draft class and the things that these guys are able to do. But I do think it is a feel-good story for all Saints fans to kind of look forward to how this group is going to grow together and continue to improve.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. I'll give mine. It's somewhat like we talked about, like not everyone has the same path to the league, but once you get there, not everyone has the same journey inside the league. And so I want to give a shout out, feel good story. Ross knows whenever I develop a draft crush, they're like my favorite person on planet Earth. And one of those was Chris Rumpf. Yeah. So I'll give a shout out to him by being a guy that's just still has a job in the NFL. He's a 4th-round pick that played 6 games in his 3rd year, didn't play at all in his 4th year, wasn't super productive whenever he was on the field, but he has proven himself to, obviously, Brandon Staley views him as a valuable person to have on a team. He is solid whenever he gets onto the field. Like, he is obviously a very valuable person to have in that room, just knows the grind, is someone that doesn't get the shine, but he's there. He's sticking around in the NFL. And, that's, to me, that's a feel-good story. Is someone keeping their job. Like,
I talked to him in the locker room pretty often. And one of the days I told him, like, I was watching him, like, come out onto the field before one of the games. And he just, team was maybe like 1 and whatever at the time, and like didn't have a lot of wins. And still don't have a lot of wins. But in any case, like, he came out there ready to go, hyped up, you could tell that he just felt blessed to be on a football field. And I just thought that was so cool. And so, like, I talked about it, and he kind of like walked me through his journey and the injuries and what it was like going through all that kind of stuff. And he was like, I don't take any of it for granted. And I just thought that was a really awesome, just kind of takeaway on him, because he's a dude that we see a lot of people go similar paths and they stop, and he's refused to do that. It's been really cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough of the feel-good yuppie stuff. Let's talk about people whose jobs are on the line.
In blood.
When we come back, we're going to talk about which position groups can still save their unit from having an overhaul in the offseason, because there are a lot of places where it will happen. Who can help avoid or limit some of that work this offseason? We'll talk about that coming up next. The NFL Sundays move fast. Like, the NFL season moves fast. It's already almost over, and that is very, very sad to me. But there's still a couple weeks left, so you need to get on and using FanDuel. One big play, suddenly everything feels different on Sunday. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips over after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet on the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. Keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. And as a Saints fan, it's needed. Sometimes in that 3rd quarter, you're like, oh my goodness. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
I want to go fast.
I did not mispronounce any of those words, or they didn't ask me to spell anything, so I'm good.
You're good. I said took something for granted instead of granted, and I hate myself for it, but it's fine.
I hate you too. If that makes sense.
Supposedly.
Supposedly, golly.
I should have.
Well, that's just impossible, okay?
I don't know what's up with my mean streak this episode. I'm not usually this mean. I don't know what happened to me.
Too much
Pelicans.
Pelicans.
Oh, yeah, it is actually. You know what? You're right. Pelicans. All right. I can't wait to be back there tomorrow. All right. Let's jump into which position groups can avoid an overhaul this season. And I'm going to start off with one Mr. Ross Jackson.
Yeah, I think maybe I like the way that you kind of qualified it a second ago, where it was like, can you avoid or limit the overhaul? And so maybe this is a little bit more towards the limit side of it. But I think we know what positions need an overhaul. But I think one that might be able to limit itself is the wide receiver room. There's obvious change and addition that needs to happen at that wide receiver room. John made mention earlier of Jalen Polk. That's a built-in addition that's going to happen. Trey Palmer will eventually be a built-in addition that will happen. Maybe we'll see. But you're going to be looking to add some more to that roster. But who's going to end up on the outside looking in from those that are already there? And so Chris Olave working to try to get that extension. Obviously, he's dealing with that back injury right now. That might complicate some things at some point, but he's working to get that extension. Devon Vele's looking now to prove that what happened in Miami was not just a fluke and that he can be an impact player and a go-to guy as we move forward. Mason Tipton still looking to carve out a role. And then you have these other guys that are kind of baked into the future that we just highlighted, that, you know, you're getting Dante Pettis and Kevin Austin Jr. and these other guys that could potentially be on the way out so that more guys can make their way in. And so I think that, like, that for me, that is a big part of what the next 5 games is going to be all about, is that position group working to make sure that those players are a part of the future of a position group that's sure to be at least added to, at the very least, if not overhauled, if they can't prove that they can be a part of the vision moving forward.
Get Bub Means back next year.
Bub Means coming back too. Yeah, great call.
I hope that could be a boost. We've yet to see it, you know?
Yeah, it's a really good call.
I mean, maybe, you know, it's never too late to hold on to hope still, you know, like Mason Tipton. Yeah, I think he's starting, maybe we'll see some of that opportunity come. You're starting to see him more and more, and I think that's a great thing. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what the wide receivers can do for the rest of the season, because while it might not be like the most star-studded group in the NFL, there's talent there. There are players who do things well, at least one thing. So I agree with you, Ross. I think people can carve out some roles.
Yeah, and to your point, it's probably more limiting the overhaul than it is avoiding it. I think you have to hit that position group over the course of the offseason. There's no doubt about it, but some guys might be able to kind of grab a foothold that maybe they don't have at the moment.
Yeah. Lance.
Yep.
What are you looking at?
I think it's cornerback. I think that, you know, there's a situation obviously that's there with Alante and trying to figure out if they're going to sign him to a contract extension or if they're going to let him walk in free agency. How do you address then that nickel position? Is it Ugo Amade? Is it somebody else potentially in the draft?
Beanie Bishop.
Free agency? It could be Beanie Bishop, who had success last year in Pittsburgh. But I think the 2 outside corners have played well enough to say that they're going to be the outside corners next year. You know, that's Quincy Riley and Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think that they're both super young, clearly, you know, first and second year players. So I think they're pretty solidified at that position. And you know, Alante is obviously the wild card of the bunch, but I don't know that there's another position that you can say, you know, we have our starters, basically 2 of the 3 at least, or, you know, majority of, like, you can look at any position like the offensive line. I don't know that we're returning 5 starters. The running back, who knows what's going to happen with AK? Tight end, Jawan, who knows what's going to happen there? I mean, and then go to the other side. The defensive front, I think, is going to look a lot different next year. I think linebacker potentially could look a lot different. What's going to happen at safety could potentially look a lot different. And I just think, looking at the cornerback position, I don't know that's going to look a lot different. It's either going to look exactly the same, or we're going to have one player that's different in that unit. And that one player could be somebody that's already on the roster. So it's not even really an overhaul at that, you know, point at all.
Yeah. And my understanding is that second option is very possible in terms of at least one of those guys being different next year when it comes to the Alante conversation with contract and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, John.
Yeah, I'm glad y'all hit on the 2 positions that absolutely make sense. Because the other ones, the other one for me, since we led off the show, it's got to be quarterback, right? I mean, you get your answer here.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to go worry about using the top pick, maybe a top 3 pick on a quarterback, right? You know, I think that's the biggest thing, is that, you know, working under this staff, this coaching staff, and then assuming they're all coming back, and I mean, like, the support characters, not Kellen Moore, but what do they get out of Tyler Shough in the last several games? And do they feel really good about that going into 2026? And what does that mean for their plans, right? Because, I mean, it's really Spencer and Tyler Shough. No disrespect to Jake Haener, but it's those 2 quarterbacks in the room. And I like Lance's, what he talked at the top of the show, talking about potentially adding a veteran, because they didn't have a veteran all year. And then in some aspects, I think that's great, because they learn more in some aspects from the former coaches and stuff. I think a veteran in here could maybe have pushed them a little bit differently or saying, no, you do it this way, do it that way. But they got the coaching staff trying to help them do it their way, I guess, which kind of might help if that makes any sense. But really, it's got to be quarterback. I mean, if you can feel good about Tyler Shough, one less bucket you have to actually check off next year or in the offseason, then you can worry about all the other positions that they have to overhaul, that they have to get better, because there is like every position on the roster, Lance hit on it. They all have to hit upgrades. They all need players that can play, and because they're just not getting it from their core and some of their guys who are supposed to be stars or Pro Bowlers, all this other stuff. They got so much work to do this offseason. But look, I feel good about quarterback if Shuck can make it happen these last few games. I think that's one less position you have to worry about, and it's the most important position.
Yeah, that's a great call, John.
Yeah, there are, like you said, there are a lot of ways to go on this team. So I'm going to go with someone I think will either save his job or probably have to move on to another opportunity or like maybe get demoted. And that is Charlie Smith. Simply, I think that he is someone that can win the job this season. If he comes out and performs, there's no reason. And I mentioned kicker specifically as opposed to punter. I like special teams as a whole because I think they have to overhaul punter this season. Just Kai Kroger simply hasn't done enough. They at least have to bring in competition this offseason and punter. But Charlie Smith, I think, truly has time to win the job for next year and at least enter camp next year as the starting kicker of the New Orleans Saints. I don't think there's any avoiding bringing in other kickers this offseason. Hopefully some of them don't get a chance. But
By who could you mean, Dylan?
About 16 of them.
Justin Tucker is the person who I think should never step foot. I'm going to say it. Put it this way. Justin Tucker should never step foot in New Orleans ever again, no matter what the context. Especially not on an opposing team. All right. Let's focus on Charlie Smith. He has the big leg. He has all of the tools that I think you want in an NFL kicker. It's just about sharpening those tools. And if he has shown that he has done that enough this season by, at least being an average kicker, because the Saints haven't had an average kicker at all this year. So it is. Speaking of, did y'all see Blake Grupe try to throw shots now that he's on a competing team? Get out of here!
I didn't see the shot.
I didn't pay attention. The Colts picked him up on the practice squad, right? So
no, but what did he say?
Let's bring it up while we're talking about kickers. But
here's the thing that the problem with Blake is the fact that you missed 8 kicks and 6 of them were in the Superdome. There are no elements. There's nothing crazy. They even turned off the Superdome screen in the background to make sure there was no distraction, and you still missed the kicks. You missed 6 kicks, dude. You have one job. Sub 70% accuracy in this season. That doesn't cut it, man. Ever. I don't care who you are. Whether you've been doing it for 3 years or 13 years.
Blake Grupe in the locker room after talking to media to now be a part of the Colts and feel like I'm playing meaningful football. I feel like we're all working towards something here. Is basically the quote that he said. Which isn't nothing but like, come on. Like, I know you know what you're saying. What you're saying. And I don't love it when
Lance,
a player leaves and immediately starts throwing shots at culture.
What does that player speak, Lance?
Does that mean now that he's on a winning team that he can make kicks?
That's what I was wondering.
That's really what I was like. That's what I was saying.
I don't know.
I mean, look, I could see if he was a guy that was balling and got hurt, and then somebody got rid of him. Oh, we don't want you anymore. You're hurt, whatever, or you're old. We don't want you anymore. I can see that, but like,
come on, bro.
You're trying to blame the losing that you had your leg in.
Nice.
On it being meaningless. We lost. I played poorly because the games didn't mean anything. Okay.
Right.
That's
interesting. That's a
pretty crappy attitude.
That's a new one. Yeah, that's a new one.
Meaningless football leading to the worst kicker in the NFL statistically. Like, I don't see the correlation here.
I'm trash. I'm trash because we suck. Okay.
I'm just stooping down to my team's level. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, what?
Oh my goodness!
Dang.
Oh my,
Imagine.
We over
What
me.
a shame. What a
Yeah.
shame.
what a shame! What a
What a
shame!
shame.
All right, well,
That was fun.
shout out to the kickers, man. Shout out to kickers. You have one job, and it's not to cuts after you get cut for missing 30% of your kicks.
Are
That's
there
being generous. That's rounding
is
up.
there a franchise? Is there a franchise out there that's talked bad about by more kickers than the New Orleans Saints?
Oh my gosh, you're not lying.
You know what I mean? Like
Gilligan,
Lutz,
and
Gilligan.
some of
I
that.
guess legs, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
everybody except like Timo. Timo always has great things,
Love
but
him. Yeah.
Gilligan is a different situation. Same, there was some things behind the scenes. Same thing with Lutz, but yeah, that was probably more where that was directed.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, one day I'll be doing a meaningful podcast, and it'll be the results will be even better.
Getting some dubs.
Shout out to you,
The dubs will just be rolling in.
That's right. Shout out to you for doing a good job despite the fact that the team's losing.
Ooh, you could be talking about either of the shows I'm doing right now. All right, let's talk about game picks and bold predictions. There's still football happening, and even though it doesn't matter because of a playoff push, it definitely matters in terms of where the Saints are drafting and all the stuff we've talked about. Who's going to be here next year. The games mean something. Darn it. And we'll talk about that coming up next. High five for self-censoring. All right, let's go talk about our game picks and bold predictions. And it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. I had to think about it for a second. Because, these games don't matter, man. I just got to be real with you.
Meaningless games.
Meaningless, yeah. Let's talk about the meaningless game that the New Orleans Saints are playing this weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Too bad Charlie Smith won't be able to make a kick. All right. Let's talk. Ross.
Yeah.
Game pickable prediction.
I'm gonna stick in our kicker conversation here. I'm digging the vibe of the kicker conversation, and I think my bold prediction is that Charlie Smith drills one from 61 in this game. From 61, just for fun. I mean, you have a kicker now that's got the leg to do that, so you might as well give him the opportunity for it. You know what I mean? And so give him the opportunity to go out there to do that, see if he can, and if you get a shot, give him the opportunity to do it. If he misses, it's not a big deal. It's not going to be something that looks bad on him because it's a 60+ yarder. But then if he makes it, lots of excitement around all that. Now, weather's obviously going to be a big factor in this game against Tampa. Tampa's got some bad weather going over there, so that might play a factor in there too. But I'm going to go 61-yarder from Charlie Smith in this game. And then, but I am taking the Saints to lose this game. And so I think the spread is 8.5. See what I did there? The spread's 8.5 in favor of Tampa. I don't think Tampa covers just because I think this is going to be like a slog to 20 points. So my prediction for the game, based on the weather and all that stuff taken into consideration, is probably like a 14-17 or like 10-17 kind of game. So I guess with the 61-yarder, I'll have to go 10-17 kind of game. And then, or like 17-21. You get the idea. Saints lose, but they cover. Long field goal from Charlie Smith. There we go. I should have just said that from the very beginning.
Before we move on completely from the kickers, I guess I'll give the full quote from Blake Groupie just so people are like, oh, you're reading like clippings or whatever. He said, first of all, it's been awesome to watch this team and everything that this team has been working towards with everything that's gone on this year with them and be able to watch that from afar. Maybe you should have been focusing on what's in front of you, Blake Groupie.
Oh, he said that too?
No, he didn't say that part. And so it's been awesome to see this team grow and have success, and that maybe not people didn't expect it, but now it's to be a part of it. And I feel like I'm playing meaningful football and that we're all working towards something here together.
Yeah,
a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's good that you read the whole quote. We appreciate that, of course.
Right.
But it's interesting, like that. You know what? I continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's that to me is super subliminal and somewhat, to me, sounds unseasoned as far as somebody who is not accustomed to talking to the media regularly. Just my 2 cents.
And I'm reading it with the tone from having talked to him, seen him talk to the media, so I could I know how he said it. Like, his personality, and it doesn't make it any better. But we'll move on. But I just wanted to close that loop. I'm sure someone will bring it up again. Whatever. All right, John, what's your game pick and bold prediction for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers game?
I mean, it's no surprise you got to take the Bucks. I see Bucky Irving running all over this team, and if it's not Bucky Irving, it'll be Sean Tucker, and if it's not Sean Tucker, it'll be Rashad White. Because what Devin Rashad White, I have him in
fantasy.
Well, I got Irving and Rashad White, so Irving's got to go off for me. But, look, I think that's the thing is, obviously, I expect this one kind of be a little bit ugly. Baker got held in check the first game this team played against them. I don't see that happening again, especially if he gets Mike Evans back in the lineup this weekend and Chris Godwin's healthy. So their Saints corner is going to have their hands full. So I'm going to take the Bucks regardless of what the weather is. I'm going to take them 28-14. I think they're going to beat cover just fine. No problems there. I just think the Saints, Todd Bowles' defense and stuff, I mean, it's just going to be hard to do anything really against Tampa, especially in Tampa. And Tampa's got New Orleans' number, man. They just cannot beat the Bucks, and the Bucks are the team to beat. They're going to be the division standard until somebody decides to take them. It's never going to be Atlanta because Atlanta doesn't know what they're doing. Maybe it's Carolina. They're taking steps forward, but, and in bold prediction, man, I'm going to go with a really bold, insane one because I know how great the Saints run game has been. I'm going to go with Devin Neal, not 100-yard game. I'm going to say he's going to top 80 this game and get into the end zone for the first time in his career.
That'd be incredible.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Devin Neal. So, and I hope to hell that they can establish some type of run game.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you're in that evaluation season or evaluation portion of the season, like we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
They need a lot.
Yeah.
All right, Lance.
Yeah. So I'm going to follow suit here. I'm going to say the Bucks are a team that's going in a different direction than our New Orleans Saints team. They've got division title to defend, playoff run to hopefully get to. And, we just happen to be the next opponent on the schedule. They need to come out and have a good performance. I don't necessarily think they need to have a great performance to beat this team, unfortunately. But I'm going to take the Bucks 24-14. I just think that, they, when healthy, have one of the more dangerous units in the National Football League, especially offensively. Defensively, they're stout. They're fast. They've got a secondary that takes the ball away. They're not easy to run the football against. But conversely, with my bold prediction, I'm going to say Devin Neal scores both of the Saints' touchdowns.
There you go.
We've struggled so much in the red zone throughout this season. And I think one way to kind of get over the proverbial hump is to try something that you haven't done a whole lot of. And that's to run the football in the red zone instead of dropping back when they've got 7 and 8 guys in coverage and trying to find somebody open. The scramble touchdowns are great. And those are plays that happen after the fact. So I just think that, we're a team that's outmatched, and a Bucks team that has playoffs on its mind, and the Saints team that has evaluation on its mind. I just think naturally that the Bucks will win this game 24-14.
Well, look, Lance, they reduced drastically the amount of Taysom usage week over week. So
maybe overcorrected a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, Angels in the outfield though, it could happen. They could lean on run game in the red zone. Who knows? Yeah, that's Devin Neal.
Yep.
Yeah. Since the Bucks and the Saints last played, the Bucks haven't been looking too good. Like they've lost 3 games. They've only won 1 game. They barely beat the Arizona Cardinals. And with that being said, I'm predicting them to win like 34-10. I think.
Not gonna lie, they had us in the first half.
I'm gonna my real score. I'm gonna go 30-17. I think Tyler Shuck's gonna have a couple touchdowns. I don't think Devin Hill's gonna have another touchdown. But that's not my bold prediction. I think my bold prediction is probably that Blake Groupie misses a field goal for the Indianapolis Colts this season this week. Sorry, bold prediction.
Are they playing in home? Are they playing in India this weekend?
No.
I'm just curious.
They're playing the Jags, right? I think
they're playing the Jags. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in Jacksonville for some reason.
I just wanted to miss the
kick. It is against Jacksonville.
Yeah, it is.
It's on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, see, Jacksonville is playing meaningful games. That's why Cam Little is able to make all those field goals. All right. I think I'll go with my real bold prediction just because, it almost happened last week. I'm going to go Quincy Riley. Ball don't lie. He gets an interception this week. I like it. Ball don't lie. He'll right the NFL's wrong and make sure he at least ends the season with another interception this week.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. What are some other things the Saints need to do with, like, what do you want to see out of this game, Ross?
I really liked Lance's point about the red zone stuff. Like if they can show a little bit more of a propensity to score in the red zone in this game and keep that going throughout this season, I think that would be a good piece of momentum to build up. They were 34.5% in the red zone going into the Week 13 game against Miami. That was the worst in the NFL. But 32 games or 32 teams, 10 seasons, they were 317th out of 320 amongst all those seasons in that. So historically bad within the last decade in terms of red zone offense. And that's so crazy to me based on everything that this team was sort of built to become under its new leadership. And, when you have an offensive head coach like Kellen Moore and all these things, you don't expect those types of numbers. They were 2 of 2 up against Miami, again, both on broken plays, or not broken plays, but second action moments and things like that. And so if they can keep the streak going and show that they're doing some of this stuff in time, in rhythm with the run game, all that, with the running back run game, I think we have to specify now with this team. I think that those things would be like positive steps forward for them throughout the rest of the season. And certainly if that starts against Tampa, that's a good situation.
I'll say this. If the Saints do want to have a chance to win this game, I think it's all going to be on the defense. And it's especially important to make Baker uncomfortable. Baker has thrown an interception in 4 games this season. All 4 of those were losses. That's not a crazy set just because, interception, turnovers help you win football games. But I think it's, especially with this team, especially with the young guys, I don't think the turnovers have been as plentiful. Still, I think are they better than last year? Or
in terms of,
do you know that off the top?
How
many
plus,
turnovers?
plus minus,
turnovers for
how
plus
many?
minus. Yeah. How many?
Plus minus. Tampa.
I think there were
the Saints.
I think
New ones. Oh yeah,
I think
they're
worse.
worse.
They're
They're worse right
because
now.
I mean, Kool-Aid's leading the team with 3 picks, and outside of Kool-Aid, there's a couple I can think of. Reed.
Yeah, total turnovers right now for New Orleans in terms of what they forced. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they had that big 5 turnover game. I forgot about that. 8, 10, 12. So they got 14 right now. So they're actually they are now where they were at the end of last season. But remember, they had that big drop off after DA was fired. And that was like one of the most costly things that did take place after that, was that the turnovers just fell apart after he was gone. And so I think they ended with 14 last year. They're at 14 now. And so that's not a bad situation there. But, Brandon Staley's defenses do a lot of things well in terms of confusing and creating, working off disguise and creating confusion and pass rush and all those other things. They don't typically force a lot of turnovers. And so the fact that they're sitting at 14 at this point is actually pretty okay. But they're aided big time by that 5 turnover meltdown by New York.
Yep. Yeah. I forgot about that. That was awesome. Why can't every game be like that?
I know. And just imagine, I wonder how Yeah. I wonder how different. I mean, I don't want to put all of this on one guy's injury or anything like that, but I do like if there's a what if right now, what if Julian Blackmon didn't get hurt and was out for the rest of the season after that first game, right? Like that's a big time turnover guy. And I would hope that he'd be back next year because of how much Brandon Staley really wanted to work with him and then what that could end up meaning for them. To Lance's point, how different the safety room could look next year.
You hear that, Julian? Ross Jackson says it's all your fault. The Saints
Nope.
are too.
Yeah. We could be playing meaningful games if Julian Blackmon
Groupie wouldn't have
Blake Groupie would have made you.
Oh man, and that is Ross Jackson that believes that Julian Blackmon is the player.
I can't wait to show him this in the locker room next time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Saints Squad Show. You can check out me, Ross, Lance, and John on our socials for the latest. You can check out Darian too, but he's not important right now because he's not here. For your second listen of today, come on and check over Locked On Pelicans where they're playing basketball. That's all I'll say. And then you can also come on and check out Ross Jackson, everything up to date with the New Orleans Saints.
And Matt Moscona Locked On LSU. Be one of the millions of people who are watching him right now. Like he is on fire at the moment.
He knows all. He knows all. All right. We'll talk to y'all on Sunday, I guess. Maybe. If we feel like it. I'm joking. We got